Hey, what's up, guys? It's Nick from Arch City Poker and ArchCityPLO.com. And in today's video, we're going to talk a little bit about heads-up strategy, some very basic stuff. This was a top video topic request from Neon Egypt, so appreciate the requests. And I think he was looking for mainly some pre-flop strategy, and then overall, I think some like general just heads-up strategy. So real quick, the ranges heads up are obviously going to be a lot wider. So let's say we are on the button. This will be the player in the small blind, essentially. What I'm going to do is I'm going to pull up Snowy's pre-flop advice, and just because there's too many hands to really list verbally, you guys can pause this if you want, but green's going to represent raise. You'll see when we get further along here, when there are some boxes for call, when there are some boxes for some mixed strategies with percentages, as far as raising percentage of the time. But Snowy does like a pot size raise, and you can see on the button, we're raising almost everything. It's really only the worst like offsuit combos. 7 deuce suited is the only combo that's suited that we're not raising. But, excuse me guys, obviously the much wider range heads up. Now, let's say the small blind, the player on the button does decide to go ahead and raise. And we are in the big blind out of position facing this raise. We're going to go ahead and look at what we're supposed to do. So you can see it looks a little more complicated here. We have the yellow boxes represent call. The numbers are representing percentage of the time raised. So for example, king deuce suited here, 63% of the time Snowy wants us to go ahead and in fact 3-bet. But then the other 37% of the time Snowy does want us to call. So that's what that number will mean. It's part of a mixed strategy. Whether you raise or call or raise or fold, you'll sometimes see some numbers in the white box as well. But a pretty linear 3-betting range. That makes sense. We're out of position. We're probably getting called quite a bit by the player on the button, so we just need a linear range, a range that has a little bit more playability to it. Let's go ahead now and look at what happens when we do face a 3-bet and we are on the button. And like I said, a ton of calling. Look at all the yellow. A very narrow range of 4-bets. You can see our 4-bets for value. Snowy likes some of the King X and Ace X hands that lack playability, but have good blocking candidates in the Ace and the King, obviously. So you can see some King 9 offsuit, King 8 offsuit, Ace 3, Ace Deuce offsuit, etc. But a lot of calling, in position facing the 3-bet. Now, let's say the button decides to go ahead and 4-bet, which is going to happen a decent amount of the time heads up. We have essentially an all-in range, sometimes calling portion of that. So you can see essentially like 7s plus. We do have some yellow boxes here where we're doing some calling. But in general, pretty much shoving. We have a little board coverage when we call ace 5 here. You got some 6s, some 5s. We do have some broadways that we're going to call with. As far as these mixed strategies, I would say generally you could do something like implement a strategy where if it's like 70% or more, you just always 3-bet then. 30% or less, you just always call or fold, whatever the case may be. I think if you guys simplify the process a little bit, that'll help you out, and your frequencies will still be pretty close to where I don't think it's going to be really that exploitable. I don't think your opponents are really going to be good enough to really exploit that, to be honest. So this is going to be, like I said, facing the 4-bet, 5-bet shove range, and then our call versus 4-bet. Now, if he does go ahead and obviously shove, take a look at the last part of our pre-flop range here. We are calling it off with 10s plus, ace-king off, and then ace-queen suited plus. So pretty simple. That makes a lot of sense. I think that's the kind of range that a lot of players would just get it in with. Now, as far as post-flop, that would take a series of videos, a lot longer of an in-depth conversation. But when you're heads up, if you think about it simply in terms of your ranges should be much wider in most spots. Relative hand strength is a lot of hands are going to go up in value. Like your pairs are much stronger within the heads-up dynamic. Your ace-high combos are going to have much more showdown value, even the weak ace-x hands. There's also going to be quite a few textures that your better king-x combos are actually going to have a lot of showdown value as well. So, obviously those hand values go up. There's going to be spots where you need to be more aggressive. There's going to be more room for overbets based on, simply polarity advantage, range advantage. And I don't expect everyone watching this video to understand all of these concepts right now, right away. But, and sorry for that bump, that's my cat being crazy as he comes into the picture, hopefully not here. But, yeah, simply put, there's just going to be more aggression. You're going to have to get stickier in spots. There's going to be hands that are much weaker as far as showdown value when you're playing 6-handed or 9-handed, that the showdown value of those hands are going to go up quite a bit when you are heads up. So, that's a general quick video on heads up pre-flop strategy. Like I said, just pause in those spots where I showed those ranges. I think Snowy's ranges are very applicable to any of the games you're playing in heads up. And post-flop, a little bit more aggression. Value your pairs and your ace-high stuff, even some of your better king-x stuff a little bit more so as far as showdown value. My cat's still being crazy here, but if you guys have any questions or comments otherwise, go ahead and let me know. Until next time.